Blooket has been rolling out tons of updates lately, with a third UI overhaul coming 2 or 3 years before my prediction. You can now order packs in large quantities at once, no more spam clicking, and there was a draw book contest. Ever wondered why Blooket has been doing all of this? Well, there's an underlying reason as to why Blooket has been getting so much better lately. It's rivalry with its sister game, Gimkit. I briefly played Gimkit on the channel before, but ultimately I never explored Gimkit much. Today, I changed that. Let's take a look at the ultimate edtech rivalry in an attempt to capture the student body. Blooket versus Gimkit. Gimkit has existed longer than Blooket, but they are similar in total satisfaction. Not to mention that on a user scale, Gimkit was blowing up loads faster than Blooket. Gimkit was one of the learning games that was best used in classrooms alongside Kahoot and Quizlet, and when Gimkit was on the road to their peak popularity during the pandemic, Blooket barely existed yet. And at the points it did, it would be very bare bones compared to Gimkit. This naturally created an underdog dynamic where Blooket was competing with a titan that was loads bigger than themselves. A classic David versus Goliath tale. However, in 2022, the dynamic changed wildly. Blooket overhauled their UI so it was of parallel quality to Gimkit, and this resulted in Blooket blowing up while Gimkit's growth was slowing from the pandemic blow-up period and even losing traffic to Blooket. As Blooktubers became an entire niche on YouTube and Gimkit stayed in the shadows for the most part, they knew that sooner or later they would have to step up their game if they didn't want to get completely steamrolled by the Blooket fanbase and become a thing of the past. In terms of market items, in Gimkit you got exactly what you wanted for a set price, but in Blooket not only did they have a weekly shop that did the same thing, but they had collectible books that you could get by opening packs and flexing to your friends. I remember back in 4th grade, this dude always used to roast me for not pulling legendaries. Well, if only he knew where I was now. But we're getting off topic. In March of 2025, Gimkit finally conformed to the plateau of growth and launched a pack-based system of their own. So while their pack system wasn't as exotic yet, some Gimkit players loved it. I say some because some really liked the older version of buying from the shop where it wasn't just pure gambling. Others said it was a blatant copy of their competitor Blooket, so they compromised to keep the item shop while still having packs available. This made people wonder if this would fire up a battle between Blooket and Gimkit, and most doubted it because the last time Blooket got a major update besides adding a pack and fixing some bugs was 3 years ago at the time of Gimkit adding packs. But contrary to those who believed that, Blooket struck back with a UI overhaul of their own. If you have been on this channel for a solid minute, then you know about the Blook score update, but if not, then it's basically the total value of one's Blook collection. This is one of the biggest visual changes made to Blooket in 3 entire years, and it was all because Gimkit finally tried to get on their level. However, Gimkit was locked in. Just a month later, on April 8th, 2025, they launched 150 new assets to their game creation feature, which is a massive upgrade. Gimkit also allowed the ability for creators to disable PvP in their maps, making custom shapes to make custom creatures, introduced a game mode, and teased another, shifted from weekly to daily item shop rotations, and smoother animations were added to the game. That is a lot for a game to do in a single year, but Blooket knew this was happening, and as Gimkit rolled out update after update trying to maintain control over the student body, Blooket nearly matched, if not succeeded, Gimkit's upload history. They allowed players to open multiple packs at a time, another visual overhaul after pressure from players, and also a bulk sell mechanic to the Blook collection page. Not to mention they dropped a few more educational tools that we're not going to talk about because they're boring. They introduced new solo game modes while visually cleaning the older game modes, made fishing friendly a solo game, a summer shop, and a Design the Blook contest, which the winner ended up being the dragon known as Fuego. Now this is interesting and all, but how does it factor into the experience for players? Ultimately, in classrooms, teachers use a bit of both. Players who don't dive any deeper than that just leave it at that. But if you're deep into one, then you hear tons about the other. The Blooktuber niche is much bigger than the Gimtuber niche. Like, by a large margin actually. But as for what you prefer, comment if you are a bigger fan of Gimkit or Blooket.